Hey,
Hey, what's going on, my street people? We're back with another super special episode because we've got a special guest. I'm DS Pyro.
whoop, whoop. I'm Young
We
Dre.
got Young
And
Dre. We've
I'm
got
Fantastic Frankie.
Fantastic Frankie, the fabulous, funky, fresh,
Hey,
Fantastic Frankie. Where are you based again? Which part of the U.S.?
Brooklyn, New York.
Brooklyn Nets. I've been
nice.
playing a bunch of 2K, so
BK.
that's pretty much where we're going. Bed-Stuy, New York, Jay-Z, all these people. So we're going to be talking. It's going to actually have a bit more of a, I guess you could say, Japanese influence because we're going to be talking about a lot more anime than what we normally do. So Dre might be a bit silent on that one because he just watched My Hero, the second movie. Have you seen the first one? You saw the first one, right? So the first movie. So we're going to jump into that a bit because it's going to be different for me to actually be able to talk about anime more so than what we normally do on this. But it's another episode of the podcast. We're going to
I'm holding him back. That's what he's saying.
You know
No,
what,
no.
Dre? I realized that My Hero Academia, the second movie, was actually the very last movie I saw in theaters.
Mine was Parasite. I think Parasite was the last movie I saw in
Wow.
theaters.
That's a nice one to end on. I should have ended it there.
I'm
That's a
happy
good
with
one.
that. What was your last
Good
one?
one. I was Birds of Prey.
Oh,
Birds of Prey.
Birds of Prey, Dre.
it's okay.
It was alright. Yeah, it was alright. It was
one
alright.
of the
I
better
thought it was
DC
good.
movies, I think, that like kind of came out.
Yeah.
I appreciate it for what it was. Like, I think we mentioned on the podcast when we did the review, but it was a good movie, but it didn't make me go, I want to see it again.
They were worse. They were
Yeah.
worse.
It's definitely worse movies, for sure.
Definitely.
Speaking
Definitely.
of that, actually, before we even jump into what I initially wanted to, speaking of DC, Snyder Cut is coming out. I feel, if I remember correctly on your posts, I know how you're going to feel about it, but express your feelings on that one, Frankie.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely gonna watch it, of course.
For sure.
But I still think it's going to be terrible. People I don't know why they're harping for the Snyder Cut because he did Batman versus Superman and no one liked that one either. So I don't know why they think this one was better. Yeah. And to be honest, it wasn't like the entire movie was Josh Weldon. Some of it was Zack Snyder's movie.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? But I
Absolutely.
did see that they're spending like $30 million to do like some reshoots and some like effects, which is great. But unless they make it into a mini series, I just don't think the DCEU has created that type of support to have a successful Justice League movie. I mean, I guess now we have the Wonder Woman movie, but this is supposed to not predate it, but I don't know, man. We'll see.
I'm with you on that one. I think Dre and I are pretty much in the same boat. Like, we saw Justice League, it was okay. And the thing that's kind of coming out of this, like, I've been seeing comments that people are like, oh, screw Joss Whedon or whatever. I'm just like, what's wrong with Joss? Like, we like a large portion of the early
Avengers.
movie. He did Avengers, he did
Buffy.
Ultron, he did
Buffy.
And he did Firefly. So I don't get the hate that he's getting for, well, maybe these people don't know about that or they don't like it, but it doesn't make sense to say screw Joss Whedon when he gave us so many great things that we grew up with, at least a large portion of us did anyway, and they're good. It wasn't like he made it and they were bad.
To be honest, it's the scenes that Joss Whedon did were my favorite part of the movie.
They reminded me of the cartoon.
Yeah, they were funnier. You could directly see when you watch the movie the tone shift.
Yeah.
From when he gets in there, the humor. And I just don't think it's his fault. But I understand, like, if you're a diehard DC fan and you see, you know, like Marvel fans frolicking over there with their great movie. And then you finally get your Justice League movie and you're like, I want justice as a DC fan. Like,
I want justice for Justice League.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I agree. I think, as I've stated many times on my own YouTube channel and in the podcast, when it comes to the DC universe and the movies, they've just tried to catch up to Marvel too much. If they just played the slow game they could have done the Man of Steel 2, then Batman, then Wonder Woman. Get those three set up. They're the Holy Trinity, and then introduce Flash and then Green Arrow and Green Lantern and these characters that we know from Justice League Unlimited and Justice League TV shows and everything from there, rather than jumping straight into the team and the Batman vs Superman. No one was happy, as far as I know, was really happy when they heard about Batman vs Superman, because we're on a Batman binge at that moment in time. He was everywhere, from video games, the Dark Knight trilogy, and I think Gotham was coming out around that time as well. So we'd had a lot of Batman. No one really, outside of people who love The Dark Knight Returns, really wanted that.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. I'm gonna watch it. But another thing is that I don't like is that HBO is creating a new platform for me to purchase, you know, to release things like the Snyder Cut. And this is honestly, I think, a way for them to get us all to buy HBO Max, because they're like, yeah, we got some Ghibli movies, we got a little bit of this. Oh, and we got that Snyder Cut y'all been asking for 6 years.
Yeah.
But at this point, you know, I need to get a network and see who's buying the HBO, because it just is so many: Disney, HBO, Netflix, Hulu, Crunchyroll, Funimation.
Yeah.
Like, everybody's asking me for cheese, and at this point to stream is like, it's more
crazy.
expensive than it was to get cable.
It's going back to cable packages and companies, because right now I've got Netflix and I've got Disney Plus, Crunchyroll, which technically, all right, fair enough, you don't have to pay for Crunchyroll, but I do, because the adverts that come on Crunchyroll, I'm not about that life.
And it's so long, so many of them.
6, 7 in a row of the same commercial, crazy. So like that's already 3-4 platforms, and they have nothing to do with it. Like, I remember there was one with the Xbox one that came out for Gears 5. They've got the Nintendo Switch one for Smash Bros. I'm just like, this has nothing to do with the anime I'm watching right now. So I just decided to pay for it. So like, that's 3-4 services that most people are probably gonna have, and then you're gonna get Hulu, and then HBO Max. And no one really cares about HBO. I think Friends might end up on there, but there's so many other shows that we can watch. Friends is gonna be on there.
Do you guys watch Friends like that?
No, it's on Netflix, so.
It's on Netflix.
I was gonna leave Netflix.
I'm not gonna be upset. My girl will be, but there's other shows we can watch.
Parks and Recs is my advice.
Parks and Recs, New Girl is on there now.
Yeah.
And so I'm covered on that. And I've got Fresh Prince as well, so that doesn't really bother me at all. Onto what we were originally going to talk about, favorite foods, as we actually, for Nerds and Foods, don't really talk about food a lot. we kind of introduced the food that we're eating.
I don't think we've ever spoke about food.
I gave the food fact in the last episode that wasn't actually recorded properly. But yeah, so what are our favorite foods, like, from any part of the world or our heritage or whatever it is?
So I'll go with 3 of my top 3. Number 1 always will be tacos. I don't care who makes it. Yeah, I don't care who makes it. I don't care if it's Mexican tacos. I've had Korean tacos, whatever. Yeah, I love tacos. Number 2 would be steamed buns. So like, there's this Korean barbecue place near me, and I got onto it in Japan, but yeah, the pork buns, the bulgogi, all those things, definitely my jam. And then the third ones, I guess, would be more cultural, would definitely be, I guess, empanadas. I'm a really big fan. I used to make them all the time, but there's so much fat and frying in there. Yeah. I haven't made it in a while.
Because you're Afro-Latina, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been cooking them for a while, and there was like a good 3-year span where I couldn't go to a house party without them. Like, I remember I was like, hey guys, I cook other stuff. Like, I could make like wigs or something. They'd be like, why are you here?
No. Empanadas. That's what you bring. Dre?
Because my parents are Caribbean, my dad's Jamaican and my mum's St. Lucian, we eat a lot of jerk chicken, jerk pork. Just a lot of jerk. And there's something called bakes. It's kind of like
Okay.
Fried
like
dough.
festivals.
Oh,
Yeah,
festival. Okay.
yeah. That's like
I'm
the
not sure
St.
about
Lucian version.
dead,
And
basically.
I love pizza. Yeah. And I love pizza, stuffed crust.
Stuffed crust, which we can't get right now. We can't have stuffed crust
No.
right now, or cheese bites. So because of the lockdown that's going on in London, so a lot of our pizza places, or at least as far as say Pizza Hut and Domino's are concerned, they have a reduced menu. So cheese bites, stuffed crust, and certain even toppings we're not able to get.
Yeah, Americans are way too entitled for that. Deliver me everything. I want
it all.
I want it
Can you
all.
imagine, like, with the way laws and everything work, imagine trying to say you can't get a topping in America just because of this lockdown when people are already upset about masks.
Right.
That would be, I wish I could call up someone and say, yo, I want my stuffed crust and my cheesy bites right now. But sadly, we can't do that because over here in London, we've got more rights and less rights depending on how you want to look at it. So it's all over the joint. For my favorite foods, I love burritos. But then again, I'm a huge fan of like the whole Latin American stuff. So Mexican food in general, but specifically burritos and chimichangas. And as a huge fan of Deadpool, chimichangas is up there, but burritos, that's the one. Sushi, any homemade sushi. Me and my girl make a lot of homemade sushi. But there's a lot of restaurants that we go to that are good where we're doing all you can eat. And if we're gonna go heritage-wise, mac and cheese, rice and peas, or anything like that. Fried chicken, as a Southerner as well. Anything to do with chicken, really, I'm gonna be happy with. To be fair. What was your Go on.
It's funny, Dre, that you mentioned Jamaican food because I'm in Brooklyn, so there's Jamaican food everywhere.
Oh yeah.
And the joke is that Jamaicans never do inventory, right? So say you order food at noon and the place open at 11:30 and you ask for like jerk chicken or oxtail, automatically we don't have that.
Sold out.
I didn't want to be rude and do it in my accent because the accent is terrible. Yeah, immediately I'm like, why y'all out? And they'll like they just give you whatever
service.
Yeah.
I ordered something with a side salad, and they put the salad in aluminum foil and crumpled it up. Salad. And I be getting mad because I'm like, y'all know I'm gonna come back because y'all food banging, but y'all don't have to treat
your
me
services.
Like this.
That reminds me of a comedian. I think his name is Tony or something like that, and he was talking about one of the jokes was Africans on 9/11 plane, and the other one was Jamaican service. And he was saying like when you go in there, you get forced to order whatever you want because the lady is just so scary. I'll send you both a link. He's from New York, so he knows what he's talking about.
Because they'll convince you. You come in and you're like, hey, I want oxtail, and they're out, and then they'll convince you to order something else instead of walking out.
Yeah, because they're married.
Like, I didn't want pork. Why am I?
Yeah.
I just wanted some normal chicken, rice, and peas. You know, you got dumpling, festival, you got cake.
Yeah, you got everything.
I'd be like, oh, no cabbage, please. And they put cabbage on there anyway because it's good for me.
And you can't say, I said no cabbage, and they're going to be like, that's all it is. I don't actually go to many Jamaican places over here because I'm like, you know what, I'm too tired for this face stuff that's going to be going on. I just want the food after me. So if I'm going to get Jamaican food, I get it from my mom.
Is there a huge Jamaican community where you guys are at? So I wasn't aware of it until my boyfriend is Jamaican and his mom is British Jamaican. And then I started watching Top Boy, which is now my reference for anyone from England. And then I was like, oh my gosh, there's like, I thought I was watching and I was like, this is very similar to like growing up in New York, at least. That's what I've seen it as, you know?
I was saying on the live that we did 2 days ago, I think it was live, and now it's on the IGTV for my profile. When it comes to New York and London, they're the same with different accents. As far as I'm concerned, I've never been in New York, but when you look at TV shows, movies, and whatever, and living in London, they're the same places with different accents. The speed of life,
Yeah.
the food, the multiculturalness that you've got as well, it's up there. What were you gonna say,
Yeah.
Dre?
The same. Yeah, I went in 2013 to New York,
Mm.
and it was like I was home. It's like
Yeah.
Yeah.
the same thing. That people are really nice, but they kind of, they got a little. I don't know. It's hard to say, but they got just a little. I like
Little
it
shoulder.
when I'm talking. Yeah, yeah, man. But it's
You
nice.
gotta
No,
earn
it's
our
really good.
trust.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. But I like that.
That's the
I
main
like that.
difference. I think when it comes
Yeah.
to British people overall, but I know in London as well, they're very friendly. So if you need help and you say, oh, where's this place? This person will jump in, that person, oh yeah, you can go down the road this way, go down the road that way, whatever. Whereas as far as I've understood of New York, it's not that friendly in that way. Like if you go to a store, they're friendly, but on the street, they'll be like, I don't know, you need to ask the next person over there. That kind of thing.
Yes. So like, Aaron, if you were in New York and you were lost, especially in the city, because the city's a grid, if you like stopped me or anyone and was like, excuse me, do I need help? The first question is going to be, where are you from? We don't even care. We can tell you're foreign, but we're like, where are you from? You'll see us like looking around and we're
everyone.
like,
To be fair, that happens to me over here as well. Like, I don't. It's weird. And take a step back for a moment. Dre, notice how she said Aaron. She's never heard my name before, from what I can remember anyway.
no.
Because in England, majority of people will call me Aaron.
Oh, instead of Aaron?
Yeah, so the majority of people, but there are a couple English people that will call me Aaron off the bat. But a lot of the time that tends to be Irish people. And the majority of Americans will call me Aaron, but there are a few Americans that will call me Aaron as well. So my name is cause for a lot of contention through the longest I've been here. And that's 20 years plus now, about 21 years I've been here now. So it's never going to change, but it's okay.
So wait, which one do you prefer?
Oh, Aaron's my name. So that's what my mom called me. And my mom, both my biological parents are actually English. They were born here. So if my mom called me Aaron and she's English, my name's Aaron. I don't care what anyone else says.
Wow.
I actually don't answer people if they call me Aaron. Unless they have
love
that.
that.
It's so funny. It's so funny when people call him Aaron. I just watch like this.
But it's weird. So now that I'm actually doing interviews, and like a lot of people that I do interviews are not from New York, so they'll be from the United States, but from like California and stuff like that. And I always feel like when I speak, it's so harsh compared to everyone else, which is just, a regional thing.
Yeah.
And then I'm on the phone with two Englishmen and they're like, yes, blah, blah, blah. So it feels nice to be like, you're actually pronouncing that correctly. I'm gonna feel myself for the rest of the day. Like, yeah, I speak the Queen's tongue. So, know.
It's weird because I left Atlanta when I was 7. And I'm now 29. I'm turning 30 this year. So even a couple.
I just turned 30, so I feel you.
Happy birthday!
Hey,
thank you.
Happy birthday!
A couple of days ago, a person was like, "Oh, are you Irish?" I was like, "What?" And the thing is, that's not the first time I've had people think I'm Australian, Irish, American, Canadian. I've had a couple Scottish, a couple South African. I'm like, what is up with my accent? Or what is wrong with that person to think I'm from anywhere but Canada, America, or England? Those are the 3 places I can get. Now, there are certain accents I can say, or I get it, but that's probably because I went to an international school or they watch a lot of American TV. So I don't know, it's just weird. I think I'm just probably used to your accent because I watch a lot of TV and stuff that might be set in New York, like Power or anything else I can't remember the name of right now. The Shield from back in the day.
Right.
So, yeah, what was your Latino heritage?
From Puerto Rico. So my dad's from Puerto Rico, which is America. And my mom's actually from St. Kitts, which is it's a British Columbian island like Jamaica and St. Thomas and things like that. So I've been in New York though my entire life. I've definitely left the country a lot. And stayed and bounced around, but I think my New York accent is cemented.
Yeah.
But I think it's more cemented in my slang than it is in my actual accent. So I was actually talking to Blurred Without a Fear about how sometimes when I say slang, it sounds like I don't typically say it because in New York they'll call it like white talk, but really it's a little bit more proper or refined.
Yeah, Webster.
Right, the Webster, yeah. But definitely the slang is there for me. Like you said, I watch all of that Power. I'm sitting here looking at like 50 Cent ruin people on Instagram and stuff like that. So
6ix9ine.
Just 6ix9ine. Oh my gosh. I'm just hoping they start like a college class, or he does a master class on like Instagram.
How to troll.
About a year and stuff. Because, you know, I not even 3 months ago, I was like, what route is 6ix9ine going to do? You know, especially in New York, being a rat is like taboo.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, how is he going to get out of this? He's going to have to become like a motivational speaker or something like that. I just didn't think he'd be able to maintain his like trolling, whatever, especially since not only did he like snitch or whatever you want to call it, but he also like went against, we found out he was a liar, right? We found out that he wasn't really a gangster and all these things. So for him to come back and immediately have a second guess why we don't like him and to support him so fully, I think is incredible. Regardless of how you feel about him, it's obvious the numbers are there, and that's what matters. Yes.
Yeah.
He broke both Instagram and YouTube, which is honestly
Eminem.
Eminem.
Yeah. And you think like Eminem of like when it comes to sales and records as one of, very close to unbeatable, and this dude came out of nowhere effectively and just did that one day out basically on his first song. How? I mean, I'm to blame because I did look at the song like, after a couple.
I did too. Dre, you looked at it, Dre?
No.
No.
I support it though. Good.
I got no interest in it. I can't. I just,
I watched
it, man.
I watched it more than once, Dre.
I just did it the one time.
I'm the problem. And you know what else I loved? I love how, one, he wears like rainbow and stuff, and he never seemed, to me, homophobic. So like he just does whatever he feels like it. And there were a bunch of Black women in this video, and a lot of them were brown. And I know it sounds weird, but I'm like, yo, objectify us all equally, please.
I'm on that boat. I'm very much on that boat. If you're in an environment and that's the environment, everyone needs to get that love. And I was saying on the podcast as well that like, or to friends or whatever, whenever I see a dark Black male on a music video or TV or whatever, and they're the main focus of a love attraction or a sex appeal, I personally feel good about that. And I've said a number of times, I'm a light-skinned guy, so it's very different for me versus Dre as a darker person, whether it be police or sex appeal. It's nice to see when dark males are on TV and when dark women are on TV, because they're not always represented in the best or even a positive light. So when I see it, I feel good in that aspect. I didn't do anything, so I probably don't need to, but it's nice to see that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the dark skin, we're back now. We're back.
For men, Dre, for men, I don't think dark skin were ever not a thing. And actually, I think it was, at least out here, it's harder for light-skinned men, like Aaron, to over dark-skinned men, because even for white people, when we associate it with like masculinity and things like that, being brown skin. Right. So the chocolate brothers get the love for sure.
Like when it comes to darker, as far as like when I know of America, when you're dark, it's like it's closer to masculinity and strength. It's the same like when you talk about people being light skinned, you tend to think, oh, they're just being light skinned, they're being weak or emotional, like Drake, the Drake effect. So that makes sense, and it's not as deep over as far as London is concerned, but it's still a factor. But I think when we were younger, about like 14, 15, being light-skinned, male or female, was kind of like up there, and like being dark was here. But now I think the shift is where darker is kind of, it's not there, but it's much more appreciated as, I think, as a dark male, but dark females, I think, still don't get that love that I think that they deserve in this day and age anyway. I know there was a phase like in the early 90s that dark women were in for a little bit because of certain songs that were coming out, but it changed and now it's just whatever else is there kind of thing. I think within the anime community, there's a large, and I don't want to use the term fetish because it's probably not a fetish, but a lot of Black men like Japanese women or Asian women, I would say, over anything else really, for whatever reason that may be. I don't know, because I don't prefer them over, but I do like Asian women. I think they're very attractive generally.
I think some of that Asian fetish is definitely pushed out in the media. Like, until recently, whenever you saw an Asian woman on television in any capacity, she was one, either doing karate, right, like Crouching Tiger or whatever, or two, was like this exotic
forbidden fruit.
Right. So like, even like, I'm big into Broadway. I love to watch musicals. The only musical I can think of, except for recently something came out with Hadestown, and even that actress was in this play. The only one with Asian actresses was called Miss Saigon, in which they were all prostitutes. It was about America's. Yeah, well, it's a movie based. Or was it the play based on a movie? I don't know. I
think there's a place based on the movie, or maybe Miss Saigon is in the movie. It could be Full Metal Alchemist. Okay, well, we've got unlimited minutes now, so we're good. All right, sweet.
Updated. I forget which one was first, but either way, all of the female characters are, the whole thing is that they're seducing these white men who are there for a Vietnam War. And if you're an Asian actress, especially in Broadway, that's the only, and even the play that I was discussing, Hadestown, the main actress is Asian, but they got her from Miss Saigon. So it's like a rite of practice, like, you gotta hit this pole and sing on it, or you're not gonna move forward in the musical world, which is, you know, so it's definitely a fetish that they perpetuate in the same way that they show that Asian men are either weak or nerdy.
Or they kick ass in martial arts.
But even then, I've never really seen Asian men be like the object of affection or a romantic lead before Crazy Rich Asians. So like, every time I see them, like, they're quiet. They're either nerdy with glasses, or they're quiet. They kick butt and they dip.
Or like,
and it's crazy. Yeah, which is crazy because they're so masculine, especially in like places like Japan, where like they speak from the diaphragm, so they all have these deep voices.
Gut,
right, and they're quiet until they are ready to get upset, and then they explode. And then their whole basics is about honor and resolve, and like Bushido, where they kill themselves if they're not honorable. And then we're calling them punks. It's insane. It really is.
Crazy.
What are you gonna say, Dre?
No, I was saying, that's crazy. When you think of it, I've never actually thought of it like that, because obviously I'm not really, I don't really, but that is mad, because I'm thinking about it and I can't think of like a Chinese, Japanese actor that is like the romantic guy or the good looking guy that all the girls love, or, well, since Crazy Rich Asians, it's crazy.
Right.
The one off the top of my head would be Henry Golding, but that's not even because of Crazy Rich Asians. No, it is. But the reason why I rethink of him as that is because of a movie called Last Christmas, which came out last year. And it's got
Daenerys is in it.
Yes. Yeah. And when I watched that movie, I was like, I love this movie for making, even though I could tell what was going to happen. Have you guys seen the movie?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I could tell generally what the story was. You could see it. But the fact is that he was portrayed as a love interest. And again, the same way I feel when I see a dark Black male, I like seeing that because everyone is sexy or has sex appeal or whatever it is. So seeing that in a Western movie is great because it's showing that everyone is there. And there's a YouTuber called Timothy DeLaGhetto.
Mm-hmm.
And his whole thing is for the past 10, 12 years, how long he's been doing this, is saying that, look, at the end of the day, yeah, I'm Asian, but I also like to have sex. I get girls, I get this, whatever. We're not just these nerdy karate or whatever it is people. We do things as well, even in America or in Asia. And I'm just like, this is what we need people to be. And when I remember Dre and I were talking about it, when it comes to rap and everything, Asians do rap really well. Like be it Korean, Japanese, whatever, and it's fire.
Which Asian drip is crazy.
Oh yeah, you can't, but I can, so it's okay.
But I love the way they're dressed too. I love their streetwear. It's pretty nice. And you know what's interesting though, Aaron, is Henry Golden was in Last Christmas, but they would have never casted him if Crazy Rich Asians didn't do as well as he was.
Absolutely.
And he's also very Western looking, right? He's like 6'3". He's a wide set jaw and dimples and stuff like that. Yeah. Right. So he has that Lucy Liu, Asian, maybe a splash of white to him.
Yeah.
And not that anything is wrong with that. Just a little, in the way that like when they have a black girl on like Game of Thrones, it's Missandei or something like that, right? Yeah. It's like we gotta see some diversity in your black.
We're gonna get you in there, but you're not gonna be quite what the people want. But you're gonna be right. Yeah. But the more Henry Golden type people we get, it's gonna be better because there's even a TV show called Wu Assassin. Those actors are dope. So the more actors we get that we can see them in different environments, not just martial arts, gonna be great. And the same thing with black people. The more we are in movies and whatever, where we're not the comedy relief or the gangster or the thug or whatever it is, it's gonna be great. And we're gonna be able to create really good, diverse movies. Like there's a TV show called Never Have I Ever. And the lead actress is like an Indian, I think she's
Indian.
Indian. And while I haven't seen it, I've seen the trailer. I'm like, that's great because that's that diversity where it's not forced. And I need more of that in this world. Now that we're talking about black and whatever, black characters in anime and comics, and what's the view on them? Like, are they good, bad?
I should go make a drink now, shouldn't I?
I should go make a drink.
Should I go make a drink or something? I can't even.
There's comments as well.
Black anime character.
Dutch in Black Lagoon is one of my favorite black anime characters, and you can watch Black Lagoon because it's on Netflix.
I know that.
You need to. If there's any anime that I recommend to you, that's a good anime, and it's an older one, so the dub is cool. Watch Black Lagoon.
And then but even still, there's so few. I guess you could say if you watch Avatar, have you seen that yet, Jay?
Yeah. The Last Airbender. We talked about that.
Yes. They had Katara and Sokka. They were like indigenous black.
They're more like Native American than black, which we have to accept.
I'm taking it.
Because, like I was saying,
take it whatever we could get.
The Piccolo effect. To be fair, if you went back to slavery, Native Americans would be there with us as well. So they're the brown. So I'm down with it. I have food now, by the way. So
I got my snacks. My biggest qualms with anime and Japanese, and Dre, you could put it in. You can actually talk about this too. Is that to your point that you made earlier, Aaron? Is they idolize and they talk about our culture so often. They're so into hip hop and breakdancing and streetwear. And then I never see an anime about Black culture, African American culture, African culture. But then on the same take, and they'll say, oh, it's because they aren't exposed to it. And then I'll watch Vinland Saga or like
Summer Shampoo as well.
Full Metal Alchemist, all these different animes that are definitely Eurocentric.
European.
Right, and they had to have done, especially things like Vinland Saga, where they had to have done so much research on lore and stuff of Englishmen. No, that's like Sky Vikings and things like that. That they could very well put that same energy into Black characters. And I feel like now they're recognizing that we're big fans and we're a big community, the Black nerd, because Crunchyroll did a award show and they had Black influencers on it. So they had King Vader, was it Kingmaker? RDC World, they had Kiera Please on there giving out awards, and I'm like, so they know that we mess with it, and they still ain't making nothing from us. And
the problem with that is it's tricky because for me, when it comes down to it, we Black people love the most and we hate the most. Because if we get a Black anime and we feel it doesn't represent us properly, or it's not a good anime, it's gonna get trashed.
We're gonna kill it.
And the whole cancel culture thing will come out properly, and they're never gonna do another one. So it's like when a white person does a Black movie, as it were, I guess you could say. Look at 8 Mile. The reason why 8 Mile worked is because it was Eminem. And at the time, he was at the height of his career.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really going to be wrong. And Eminem understood the culture as he was a part of it, growing up in it. If you get a Japanese person who doesn't understand Black culture outside of movies or fashion, they're going to think, all right, cool, what is this? Oh, we're just thugs again, blah, blah, blah. But that's why Black Lagoon works, or even Bleach with the dude had
the Catwoman. I know who you're talking about.
Yoroichi, not Yoroichi. Is it Yoroichi? Yeah. Her.
I forgot her name.
And the Black dude that had the bandana over his eyes, I think, and he had like all the light for his bankai.
Like, have you ever seen Sword Art Online?
No, but my boy keeps telling me to watch it.
Only watch the first 12 episodes of the first season, and then I heard the newer ones, but it definitely changes. But there's a character on there, and he's like a Black African American dude. So he's bald, he got a goatee, he's brolic, he's like a barkeep, and it's a great depiction of an actual. I'm like, so y'all know us then, because this is rude, you know?
Yeah. We need to get that. I think that's where when it comes to comics that they win, because comics is Western, so there's Black people in America or England or whatever, even France as well. That's where they kind of have that over on the Japanese community, because a lot of Black people, from what I've understood, probably prefer anime to comics. In my experience, where they may watch like Justice League or whatever, but what they spend their time on is anime, but they don't get the Black
definitely.
So like when it comes to that, you've got like your Spawn, not John Stewart. Who's Green Lantern John? What's his last name?
Yeah, it's Stewart. No,
is it Stewart?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Stewart.
I keep thinking
it feels weird because of that the Daily Show host, right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's Jon Stewart though.
But yeah, you've got him, Falcon, Sam Wilson, of course. So I think, is there other ways that we can introduce Black characters in comics that's organic and not feel like it's stereotyped?
I think that depends on the actual story. If you have like a just a normal organic story.
You sound a bit far away, by the way.
Well, you can't hear me.
You sound a little bit far away, but I can hear you.
What about now?
You look like my mom. When my mom's on Zoom, she's like,
can you hear me now?
Yeah. Okay? Like, Mom, the mic is omnidirectional. You can speak however.
Say what you're gonna say?
No. As long as I'm all close now. As long as the story is organic, I definitely think you could just bring in a Black character that's not forced and not over the top, but it does all depend on the story and what it includes as well. So it's a tough one, I think, but I'm sure.
I think
you can do it, Aaron.
The best way to make it mainstream, and it's hard to say, would be to have Black characters take the mantle of white characters that we've grown up with. Like, you telling me Gotham isn't full of Black people? Spider-Man. You know what I mean? That? Like, I'm saying, yeah, just how they did with Spider-Man and Miles Morales. They could very well do like Batman Begins, and Terry McGinnis is biracial, right?
Well, there is a Black Batman. He's actually called Batwing. He's in Africa. Right. So they've got that. Yeah. So, and he's got some cool stories. I read it when he first was introduced, and with Batman Incorporated, it was cool. But the thing is, because I think when it comes to Batman and how that world is created, you're so attached to Bruce Wayne, so you need to have Bruce Wayne involved a lot at the beginning, then you can break away. So like with Batman Beyond, great cartoon, and it works so well because you had Batman, who is basically Clint Eastwood, and then you had younger Batman, and Terry McGinnis, and they liked him because it was, spoiler alert, it was his son.
I was just gonna say, was it his son or was it his clone? I always get confused there.
Yeah, it's a clone, but
it was a clone of himself, which is way darker than him just impregnating
from his
someone.
DNA, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Batman saying, no one else can do my job but me. I need to clone myself. It's so very Batman and so very dark that he thinks he got 8 Robins. None of them could be a Batman. He got a clone.
I mean, it was it wasn't even his plan. It was Amanda Waller that kind of did. I think it was Amanda Waller, but I get what you're saying. Like the whole idea of that is that like the only person that can be Batman is Bruce Wayne, and effectively that's who became Batman, and he was dope. Even the other ones, the whole argument of who could replace him, for me personally, even though Tim Drake is my favorite Robin, it's only going to be Dick Grayson. He's the only one that's level-headed enough, I think, to really go out and be able to be Batman effectively in the way that Bruce Wayne was.
He's so annoying. Bruce Wayne don't even like Dick Grayson. He was like, yo, I'm out. Someone else needs to be Batman. They're like, oh, give it to Dick. He's been working so hard. He's like, nah, I'm gonna give it to this crazy man over here. Instead,
let's get Azrael in.
He don't even like Dick Grayson. How's he gonna be the new Batman?
He's his favorite. He's his favorite.
You think so? I don't know. Dick Grayson reminds me of the guy who like does who reminds the teacher that we had homework last night.
To be fair, that's Tim. Tim is that guy, but I like Dick Grayson, but that's who I grew up with. So I have an affinity towards him, but out of all the Robins, Tim is my favorite, and I really like Damian, even though he gets so much hate. Damian's just really cool. He's like what Jason should have been when he first came out.
I love Jason.
I love Jason Todd after the Lazarus Dre.
Me too.
So I realize we've gone into a different territory now.
Sorry, Dre. Dre, are you not to comics either?
He is, but he's not on the. He's very, very surface level.
Very.
Okay.
Yeah.
His realm is more in the movie media and live action TV shows. Here and there. So, to be fair, if we were to talk about Power, he wouldn't know either because he doesn't watch that.
Okay.
He thinks it's trash.
I don't watch Power, but my mom just finished it.
It finishes weird, Dre. I have to say that. It started off really strong, but then Ghost becomes like a parody of himself.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. He basically becomes Daenerys Targaryen. Like he descends into this Mad King arc, and he's just disrespectful. He tells his wife, I don't want to ruin anything, but he's
never gonna watch
it. I'm never gonna watch it.
Okay, so like the whole basis of the show is that he's having an affair with the agent that's investigating him. Right. So she actually gets killed, and he's sulking.
In season 5.
Yeah, sorry, spoiler alert, everyone. So she actually gets killed, and he tells his wife while she's like complaining about like, hey, we have these issues. He's like, yo, the woman I love just died. Give me a break. And he's that serious.
So awkward.
And she's like, what the? Oh my.
I'm the mother of 3 of your children.
I think he mushes her like one of these. It hurts. It hurts. He gets crazy. He gets crazy later on, for sure.
If you remember Blanco and I talking about it, like how we were upset with season 6, it was equivalent to season 8 of Game of Thrones, how upset we were about it and like the whackness of the story and everything. But I enjoyed like seasons 1 to 3. 4 was okay, but it was definitely downhill. 5 and 6, I mainly watched it because I started watching it and I need to finish the show. That's kind of
to see it done. Yeah. Especially the latter half it's like watching Clue for 6 hours. Who did this?
Oh, you mean the January episodes?
Yes, and it's about characters we don't know. So imagine Dre, and it's really hard to pick someone off of Game of Thrones who isn't compelling, but let's say, I don't know who, Shay. Imagine they did a whole arc where we watching Shay be a prostitute.
Oh,
I don't know. I can't even think of someone who's not really compelling. I guess Bran becoming king would be the cool.
Yeah. There's a few.
Now I'm just gonna. Okay.
That was Aaron. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I watch everything and anything. So whatever you guys bring up, I've seen more than likely. I have really eclectic taste.
Wow.
Yeah. No, it's good. Like I watch a lot of different things, but sometimes I get very hipster about things. So because everyone was on Game of Thrones and everyone's like, watch it, you'll like it. I'm just like, I don't really like fantasy. I'm not that big on that genre of sci-fi or whatever you want to call it. So everyone's watching. I'm just like, yeah, everyone's watching, and people telling me to see it. I'm probably not going to watch it. And I saw The Red Wedding, and I was like, that's a dope episode, but I have no connection to these characters whatsoever. So it's not as good to me as it is to whoever else is watching it. Yeah.
Yeah. I got introduced to the books in high school, and it was kind of like an escape to me because, it was a long time ago. So when the books first came out, well, a little bit, I'm not that old. So the books had been out for a couple of years. And I was at the point where I could get elective, and one was like sci-fi and fantasy. It was an English class. And I was like, finally something nerdy I could actually get like credit for and make me a better writer. And this was right before the show came out. I just remember my teacher, he was just like going in, and he was like explaining it, breaking down, us getting to like the theories that ended up being true in the show. And it was just great because it was the first time in high school, because it was very hard for me to connect with, especially people of color there, just because of my interest. So it was the first time that I felt like I was around my peers and we were all collectively enjoying something. So when the show came out and it was equally as good, it was great. And then, just to see, not only was it bad, it would have been one thing if that last season was bad, and it was bad because they just had a different vision, but it was bad because they really didn't give a fuck. They were like, we just got Star Wars. We got all this cheese. Oh shit, we gotta finish this. I forgot we told them that. And they say it. And then they go on, Aaron. They go on after the show and they do like the post-show, like this is what we thought of. They're like, we actually forgot about this. That's why we did this. Yeah. And I'm like,
I remember hearing about it.
Who says that? First of all, you don't have to remember anything in the show. That's what interns and stuff are. They do a storyboard. Remember what this guy did, da-da-da-da-da. And it was just interesting. And they knew they messed up. That's why they didn't show up to any of the Comic-Cons. They like deleted their account.
Cabbage would have been thrown at
them. They didn't want no smoke.
Yeah, they didn't want any of the smoke, man. I loved it. I would move like that too, though. I can respect that. I can respect you knowing, like, I'm gonna just leave this here and dip. You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna just stay here.
I got my monies, so
right. Exactly. It's the equivalent of the teacher putting your paper flat down when you do bad.
So, we're good.
Here y'all go. Or maybe they were annoyed, like y'all always asking for something. Here y'all go, damn.
You want the ending? Yeah.
He ain't even write the book, y'all. Why y'all want me to keep on
Apparently
going?
He told him the ending though before, just in case he told him the ending just in case he dies in between or something like that. Whether that's true or not.
I think that he has completed the books a long time ago. And that is the actual ending, and he waited to see how people would react to it so that he could clean it up himself. Because it don't make no sense why it would take so long to write this book. And now people are worried that he gonna die. He's fat and like 70. And now Corona. If George R.R. Martin dies before he finishes this series, y'all not gonna see him on the gram for weeks. I'm gonna be so pissed. I'm gonna roll up to his estate and just start looking through
social
stuff.
Media distancing.
Right.
Fair enough. No, like, I might watch it one day, but like, even Dre was talking about The Last Kingdom, and that's 4 seasons of like 10 episodes and
8 episodes.
8 and
I had it plugged, Dre.
Still not ready. I started Altered Carbon, but like that's only 2 seasons, 10 episodes each. 2 seasons. That's easy for me to catch up on when I'm trying to watch other stuff as well. Like I just started High School DxD, which is amazing and trash at the same time. Have you seen it?
No. What is it on?
It's on Netflix. It's literal fan service all day, every day. That's all it is. But got a good story, but it's full of fan service. I'm just like, have you seen Bible Black at all?
Mm-mm. But I would imagine it's like Kill la Kill.
Yeah, along those lines. But there's actual topless women for just because there is. So I'm watching. I'm just like, I can't watch this at work because I'm watching an anime.
Or on the train when you're commuting.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm gonna be in the cafeteria watching them. What are you watching? Oh, just some anime. And they look, and then there's a topless woman. I'm like, it's not always like this. It's okay.
This is different.
But that's the problem with anime sometimes.
There's this anime called Freezer, whatever. And Dre, it's hilarious how they don't even try to hide it. And it's like these bionic women who are fighting. There's some war, blah, blah, blah. But when they get in a fight, Dre, so a woman would punch another woman in the face and her titties will pop out.
Like Battle Vixens.
And I'm like, from a punch in the face. That's crazy. That's crazy. I'm like, none of these women are wearing bras on the battlefield. This is
where's the bras at? Yeah.
What? That don't even seem comfortable. Who fights like that?
You gotta knock yourself out.
If you there are back problems associated with it.
With a large portion of like the anime people, they tend to have slimmer waists as well. So like that's all on the lumbar.
I'm like, I better stop playing. Put her in a real bra. Yeah, put her in a bra and a back brace. I want to see. Since her waist so small.
If you're trying to like get into anime and like you're not, I don't know what I should watch apart from like say Dragon Ball or Pokemon or things like that. If you're a male, it's probably easier, at least as far as Western society is concerned, because you've got so many fan service shows, things like Battle Vixens. Have you seen or Ikitausen is the Japanese name?
Mm-hmm. I've seen some of it, but yeah.
So they go to a school and there's like schools that are warring with each other. And same thing like with the show you were just saying, they're fighting, but for some reason, they get bopped in the head, then their midriff is gone, and there's a rip over the left top of your breast, and then their skirts, they're always wearing skirts, and I'm just like, this is great action, but why is there so much skin being shown? And when I started watching it, I'm like 15, 14, so I'm here for it, but it's also just like, I want to be able to just watch this and like not worry about someone coming into my room thinking I'm trying to,
I get so annoyed sometimes. I'm like, these men need to just get laid. It's one thing to have like, you know what I'm saying? It's one thing to have hentai where it's like, it's
that's
porn,
what it is.
Right. But I hate when they guise it under like action. You know what I'm saying? So now when I watch it because the story good, but it's also hentai, I need to know what I'm watching. Like, tell me.
You don't want to just get recommended something.
Let me know. Yeah.
Right. But I mean, HBO does that all the time. But if you notice on most HBO shows, like it'll be like titties, season 1, and then slowly less titties. You know what I'm saying?
Sex and the City did that.
Yeah, sex, and some of it also comes from the actors, right? Like even Daenerys from that show, from Game of Thrones, she was topless all the time, and then once it became a smash hit, she was like, she wrote a contract, was like, I'm not showing my titties no more. And then I was like, I feel you, like y'all can't replace me, so no titties. Or even like the actor, I love her. See, I forget her name, but the one who plays Cersei. She had off rip. She was like,
Isn't
I'm not showing my
Seth
breasts.
MacFarlane's wife?
Is she who?
What's that?
Cersei. That's Seth MacFarlane's wife, no?
Is it? No way he's pulling that piece.
Seth MacFarlane's wife was in. I'm Googling it right now, so continue with what you're saying.
Yeah, do it, please. Yeah.
But yeah, so even in Game of Thrones, when they do show Cersei naked, it's not even that actress. They have a body double in.
Yeah.
To show it. But then with animes, they just triple down on it. So it's like, it's not like we'll show some titties today and then not for a while. It's like we gonna show titties the entire time, more titties, titties with milk on it, titties with sweat on it. Like it's
just anything with titties on it.
right. I'm just gonna do it, and I'm just like, oh my gosh,
Oh.
I just want to watch this story, you know, because that's the double-edged sword about that too. Is it's normally stories that are female centric. So it's like I want to watch an anime that's female centric and action heavy, but then that means that it may be a hentai or more than likely a hentai. Not saying anything's wrong with it. Just like
Emilia
you know,
Clarke
is married to Seth MacFarlane.
They were dating from 2012 to 2013.
Good for her.
Okay.
Him. Yeah, that's Daenerys. That's not Cersei.
Yeah, these people. Is that the blonde one? Is that the Dragon Queen?
The Dragon Queen. It's the Dragon Queen. Cersei
I know
is
things. Okay.
Yeah, you know things. All right. Cersei is like the main. She becomes the main villain, and it's incredible. She's one of the
only thing
bitches.
I care about when it comes to Game of Thrones is Arya because she's Batman.
She's Batman. You know, yeah. And you know what's funny? I made a video about how I thought Arya had it the easiest because she got everything she wanted, versus like all her siblings. One got killed by his mans. One got killed with his wife. The other one is paralyzed. You know what I'm saying? 3 of them got killed, and then she got to do an internship. She's living, yo. She learned how to fight. It's but they do a disservice to her the last season. So everything that she learns over the course of the season,
she just forgets for some reason.
Yeah, they never do in the last season. So I'm like, why did y'all spend so much time developing her if she wasn't going to do this? You know?
Yeah, it's annoying when characters, whether it's the second, third, or whatever season it is, or in a book or whatever, they've learned either special moves, superpowers, or whatever, and they don't use them the way, at the very least, you think they should use them. Because you've learned so much, you've gotten so much knowledge, use it appropriately, or use it the way I think you should use it appropriately. When you don't, it just throws off that growth. Because you've learned something, use it. And so many things that are written for whatever platform it is, don't do it. They're just like, well, the character needs to be this way, and they're going to get to this point, and that's it. We're done.
Right.
And they're forgetting how that character got there. And that throws me off like a lot of books, because I was reading Maze Runner, and that did this. To be fair, the character did do the things that they learned, but the book feels like it forgot what it was, because Maze Runner, the first book, is very different to the Scorch Trials and whatever the other 2 books are. It's just completely different. So when that happens, it throws off your journey and for the character. Harry Potter is great for doing that because what he learned, he kept doing. So in terms of writing a character for that was growth, I think was good.
I agree. Yeah, and what made Harry Potter to me so special was she did this development and she didn't write all these books together. So like I used to read, I haven't read it in over like a year or so, but I used to read it like the series like every couple months. Yeah. And there would be like clues in the first book that would come up in the 5th book.
Yeah.
That I'm like, how could she know to even put this clue in if she hadn't, if she didn't write this whole thing together? It's incredible.
Her plotting was amazing.
I always wonder how the English feel about Harry Potter, because I live and die by it. I'm like, do you guys stand for it the way we stand for it, or is it like, oh, it's that book you all love or whatever?
No, Harry Potter is a worldwide phenomenon. Sorry, go on, Dre. I think you would be able to put in on this as well.
No, I like the Harry Potter books, but I actually prefer the Percy Jackson books over the Harry Potter books.
He's a Percy guy.
Yeah, I'm a demigod, you know.
You're a demigod.
Like, Harry Potter at the end of the day is a worldwide phenomenon. Like, no matter which one.
It's a classic, Harry Potter is just a classic.
I personally didn't care about it, and I don't like Harry as a character. He's annoying. But I'm also a world person, so I love that. But my girl, she lives and dies by Harry Potter. She is a Potterhead. So yeah, like, it's definitely a big thing over here, like it is everywhere else. And I think the reason why it's different for Americans versus English people is that it's set in England, basically, or set in like Great Britain, whereas everything is basically set in America, whether it's Atlanta, New York, LA, or any Midwest place. So it does have a different vibe for it too. The fact is, when you're reading it, you're thinking of an English accent when you're reading it, whereas everything else, you're just listening to the accent that you think the accent would be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's written, when I read it, I feel like it's written with English slang and written like you read it and they say things like bloody and spot on and whatever. I don't know if you guys really say that, but that's how I picture
absolutely.
it.
So
all the time.
Right, so I read it, but it came out right before I turned 10.
Yeah.
Like maybe a year or so before 10. So like I read it, and to me, I was like, that makes sense why, like being around Caribbeans and things like that, I like so many different things. I was so weird because obviously I'm a witch, and I had a bag packed and everything ready to roll. Because now she wrote that there's like an American version of Hogwarts.
And from morning school, I'm about it. House one,
right?
I know what I.
But I thought I was gonna go to Hogwarts, so I was prepped. And there are like pictures of me at like my 10th birthday party just pouting, and like everybody's like, why are you so upset? What's your issue?
I didn't get my letter.
I didn't get my letter. I gotta stick with you hoes for the rest of my life. I thought I was out here. Yo, Hermione dipped in a second, yo. The minute she realized she didn't have a bad life, right? Her parents were dentists. She was probably living good. And she dipped. She was like, I'm out.
Wait, magic? Okay.
I'm out of here. They were like, yo, Voldemort is dangerous. She was like, say less. I'll just have my parents forget about me. It ain't nothing but a word. I'm gonna chill with y'all for the rest of my life, man.
It's cool. You got me on the breaks. It's cool. Christmas, I'm here. We got it.
Yeah.
I agree. I think, I don't know, like just Harry Potter in itself just did not strike me to say, yeah, this is the one. I read like the first book and I got into it, but it didn't drive me to say I need to read more. Golden Compass, on the other hand, Northern Lights, that's my jam. I need all of that, and I need to watch the TV show. And I said on the podcast before, and I haven't. I'm lazy, but that's where I live. That world, I've read those books, and there's only 3 of the main ones to read, number of times, and I'm now reading the second trilogy for the second book, and I'm waiting for that 3rd book to come out. I'm good, so I don't need Harry Potter in my life like that. My girl, she can live in that world, although by now I probably know more about Harry Potter than her because I watch a lot of theory videos. So I do that all the time.
So we're like the trifecta, right? Like Harry Potter, Percy, and then go.
Absolutely. We
got all the 90s put together.
Yeah, I think that's what was great about Harry Potter as well, is that because it came out in the 90s, our age group was that time, so, oh, I might get a letter, that kind of thing. So when we turned 11, we were like, where's my owl at? What's going on here? And then we grew up with those books because they would come out. We got a bit older, and the books got a bit older, and the movies got a bit older in our age range. So we would have connected, if we're in that world anyway, we connected with it on a really relatable age-wise level. And I think that's what made it blow up so much.
Agree. Yeah.
Tower of God, because we were talking about some of the anime before on Crunchyroll, and I know you are not this guy.
I don't like Dre. Do you like Tower of God? Is this your jam?
He doesn't know what we're talking about.
I've never seen it. No, I've never seen it.
I personally, I get the hype, and I heard that the webtoon is incredible, so maybe that's what it is. But the series itself, like watching the anime, I just personally wasn't a fan. It is very, very, very similar from the character design to the story, to me, to Hunter x Hunter. And then I hate the animation. The lines are all squiggly and stuff. So I don't know. I'm not a fan, but I will read the webtoon to see if it's worth continuing.
I've been reading it, and I to be fair, I've recommended so many different types of anime to Dre. He hasn't watched it because it takes time. I said, yo, listen to this song. 3 minutes of your time. Not gonna happen. There's still 5 songs that we need to listen to for the podcast. Hasn't done it. And that's what, 15 minutes of his time maximum. Not happened. So recommending, I'm surprised that he watched My Hero because it's a movie. He's like, cool, let me watch a movie. But to invest his time into something else, I don't think it's going to happen. But
My Hero was dope, though.
I was gonna say, did you like My Hero?
Yeah. It made me want to watch the series, and I watched a couple episodes, but I just haven't got back to it. But no, it was good, man. I enjoyed it.
They have animes that are like 12 episodes.
Yeah, just one season long, and you're good.
One season, like Promised Neverland.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
is it Dead Man Wonderland one season?
Well, a second season is supposed to come out, but not for a while. And to be honest, if you watch the one season is a full story.
Okay, that's
so
dope.
if you watch that and didn't watch anything else, although you would want to watch something else, you'd be fine. There's another one I just finished called Erase. It's 12 episodes. It's one story in 12 episodes, and it's like a thriller, crime, time traveling thing. Pretty cool.
That does sound good.
And then if you're feeling froggy, I always recommend, because you like strategy, it sounds like, and like the Game of Thrones type thing, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is honestly one of the best I've ever seen. And it's, if you like Game of Thrones, you would like that. So that is 5 seasons. I think it's altogether maybe 60 episodes.
Yeah.
The episodes are 20 minutes. They're on Netflix and they're in English. But it's a full story. It's a lot of military involvement, a lot of strategy. Yes.
A lot of German stuff going on, like
a lot of Nazi-ish type things, but it's not actual. It's a foreign land. It's a fictional land. And
Wisteria? Is it Wisteria? I think it's Wisteria.
White
Whatever.
land.
It don't matter.
White land is there. I don't know. It's a bunch of white people.
There was black people in that as well. There were black / like Arab people as well, and they were again discriminated against. So
they were nomad. So the black people, the whole thing. There's a black Arab indigenous group who are experiencing a genocide during the whole entire series, and there's this one guy who's like an anti-hero who's just fucking everybody up. He's like blowing them up.
I preferred him in Alchemist over Brotherhood.
I liked him better in Brotherhood because he came full circle, and to me it seemed like he had bigger motivations. I hate when a villain is just a villain just because. Like Dre, I just finished Last Airbender, and that was what I loved, was that Zuko was a villain with purpose, right? Because at first you're like, why is he so pressed for the Avatar? Like, who does he care about this Avatar? He's gonna get washed up. But then finding out that that's tied with honor and being accepted with his family and you're like, okay, I do this too.
Avatar is in a league of its own on any just it's
crazy.
It's so good. Like the thing is, I haven't finished Legend of Korra because I love Last Airbender so much. I'm watching Legend of Korra. I'm just like, this is good, but you're not Aang. Like you're not. Where's the humor? He's like I just liked it, like the humor, the animation. Like don't worry, the animation is crisper on Legend of Korra because more time has gone by, but it's not hitting me the same way. And I started that years ago. Then again, to be fair, it took me about 13 years to watch all of Death Note because I finished on like episode 17 back in like 2004 whenever it came out, and then I only finished it 2 years ago.
Oh, Death Note is probably 5 hours altogether.
But yeah, Death Note is something you should watch for one season, quick, and it's so, the first half of it is well written, then the later half is a bit,
It's still short though. It's like 36 episodes, maybe.
Yeah, 36 episodes. But in terms, the majority of your enjoyment is going to come from the first 13 episodes.
You'll never be so amped about someone writing on paper. They make it look so jiggy. They be like,
it is so good. Like you would think, yo, this guy's just writing on books or whatever. But when it's doing it, it's like sword work. It's actual like a fight the way it comes out. But it's dope. But Tower of God. I would recommend looking at it. It's not something I would say, yeah, you need to watch this. It's not the dopest thing. I've been reading the webtoons when I heard that it was coming out, and it's like, it's cool, but yeah, it's not blowing my mind. People were hyping it up so much. I was like, all right, cool, this is gonna be dope. So I'm looking at it, I'm just like, it's all right, ain't nothing special. There's been other things I've been reading that's on webtoons that's, for me, so much better. And there's The God of High School as well, which I think you would like, Dre. It's a bunch of fighting. It's very not Dragon Ball Z, but it's based around a fighting tournament, basically. But it's like on 500 issues now, and the series is coming to Crunchyroll. So definitely, when it comes out, check that out. It'll be good.
I think the biggest thing about Tower of God that people are supporting it, which is why I've watched it, is it's basically people like me, you, and Dre getting a deal from Crunchyroll. So they created this. Create a webtoon is as easy as, not as easy because obviously it takes work to do both, as creating a YouTube channel. So for them to pull from a webtoon instead of a manga is huge.
And it's Korean, if I remember correctly.
And it's Korean, it's Korean. So just to see it on that level and to notice, I think we're going to see that a lot, that now you don't need an agent or connections to put your stuff out there if it's good. So once you get a following on Instagram or anything like that, people start to notice, right? That's what Issa Rae did. Issa started her show on YouTube, and people watched it, and they were like, yo, let's give me money, you know?
Yeah, it's true. I've been telling Dre since I've known Dre, and I've known that he's been writing a comic book. He's been writing a comic book. He's got 2 full issues. 2 full issues. Where are they?
What are they about? What's the comic about?
Pitch it.
Let's hear it.
I can't be saying this too much because my friend, he's my partner. He'll probably
right. You got a synopsis though, right?
On site.
On site. All right, I'll give a quick rundown for it. So there's four main characters. They develop powers through a thing, and it's on another world. And I know because I've written some of it for a book that I do, because I have a book that I'm writing as well. Think of like sort of X-Men, but on a different planet. They go to a school and everything, and there's this. It's a whole new world. No Aladdin.
Keep talking. Keep going.
And you've got the big bad guy who we don't really know anything about yet. And it's a teenage drama with superpowers. So think of like Heroes meets X-Men, but better than Heroes. Not better than X-Men, I'm sorry, because like I don't know much about it yet. And X-Men is the greatest. So
here is the $10 million question. Are the characters Black?
Hey!
Are they?
There's
one main character is Black.
Okay.
Yeah, one main character is Black.
And
how Black?
But we've got this. He's
between.
Black.
Okay. So that counts as 2 characters. If you got the brown skin, there's 2 Black people on there.
Yeah. We got an African guy. He's like a supporting character. But, he's from Africa, and
what?
Yeah, even Aaron don't even know about this. I'm telling you,
I don't even know, and I'm in the loop.
I love it.
Yeah.
Aaron's like, oh, word.
Yeah, and you've got there's my favorite character is the Asian dude. I really enjoy his character. Like he just seems very interesting. Alice seems cool. So that you've got Jamar, Alice, and the other 2 who I can't remember. And it's just dope. Big Mace.
When you drop it, let me know. I'll push it out if it's good.
He needs to. He's like
send me a T-shirt. I'll wear it.
They have T-shirt. Dre, you know, Frankie. He actually upsets me so much because he's got 2 full issues and they're working on the 3rd one. And I'm like, when I found out about webtoons, I was like, yo, put this on webtoons, adjust it a little bit so it works with the mobile format, but put it out there so people can look at it, get some coins out or whatever, and do it. Even release a free first issue when you have more of them. And it's dope because I've read some stuff on webtoons. It is not good. This is good. I would actually read this.
And when it's someone of color, our community comes together to push it out.
Absolutely.
And we won't really talk bad in public about it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Cannon Busters came out you will never hear a negative review from a person of color on Cannon Busters. It's out, but fuck it, I spent hours on them. But anyway,
that
I
was
say
like,
do it.
Yeah, that was the main thing. When we done the first 2 issues, our artist, the guy that actually does all the illustrations, we kind of stopped doing it with him. We've got a new one now, and he basically redone the issues, but in his art form and his way. And then we all sat down, and then he was a bit like, it's good, like the story's good, but there's just, it needs to be a bit more deeper if we want to, really do something with it. So for like the last month, me and my boy, we've literally gone through the characters, given them a full backstory, full arc, all the characters. And now we've given it all to our artist now to basically redo. So we're going to see how it turns out, but we're just so happy with the process. Hopefully he could do a little something with it. So.
Fingers crossed. How's your villain? That's always my favorite part. How is your villain?
He's a savage. Yeah.
Yes.
Wait, is he savage or savage? Because that's
savage.
Savage.
Basically, savage is my old word.
I love a good, uncompromising villain who's nuanced. Yeah. And back to Airbender, I just finished it, so I'm on a high. But that's why I love the Fire Nation. They roll up to people that they know they could beat and go all out. They go all out.
They ain't playing.
Right. Then the Fire Nation
there will be no questions. Exactly. And then, so they show both sides. They show the Fire Nation burning people alive because they don't give a fuck. Yeah. And then they show the, like, uncle who's, like, making tea and is funny and sweet.
Yeah.
All about his tea.
I don't know if I like him or not. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's very interesting.
What you should do, Dre, is send her some of the artwork that you've got on the Starlights and get it done, like, legit. Because I'll tell you this, Frankie will put it out there. If she likes it, she'll push it. I think the way I see it,
if it's bad, though, I'd be like, Dre, this
is trash. Yeah, let me know.
I'd be like, Dre, we gotta... Here are my notes. I can't put this on my page.
Yeah, give me something. Yeah, let me know.
Lift it up.
But I would love to have you and your whole squad. I mean, you guys could come on my show. We could talk.
Bass needs to get on there. Yeah, like he's not really on the face a lot, except for the FM show, which he does. It definitely needs to be there. I would send her some of the stuff that I have if I didn't format. Actually, I might send her some of the old stuff. Because I think I still have it, so you can get a...
Don't send me the old stuff. The old stuff isn't...
Yeah, but it's the old stuff. I gotta
get the new stuff.
So, like,
he said he redid it. He said he redid the story, background, art.
Yeah.
You need to send it then, Dre.
I was supposed to roll up to England. I wanted to go to London at the end of the summer, but then Rona was like, nah.
Miss Rona said no.
No, and I'm not going when it's cold, so maybe next summer. I'm not going from New York to London to be in the same dreary weather.
No, you don't want any of that. No, the thing is, this whole lockdown, I've been saying, yeah, cool, I'm gonna write in my book, and I've done like 3 lines of my book, and I've got nothing but time. I will.
But you know, it's stressful time. So like I'm doing a bit more than I was when I'm still working from home.
Yeah.
So I am doing a little bit more on my page, and you know, it's been great because I've been able to grow and put out more content. At the same time,
real fast.
Thank you. I think it's a lot of people hate follow me, which is fine with me. But I love it. I'm starting to get to the place where I'm starting to get stands, so I don't have to respond to people as often, and it's nice. But yeah, I don't think that sometimes I'm like, I feel like I could do more, and it's just like, sometimes you're just in this, like, it's traumatic being home. You know what I mean? So it's like,
it can take its toll.
I just want to lay here and eat popcorn instead of like, you want me to work more, you know? So
it's true.
I get it.
It is definitely, for me, at the very least, it's like, all right, cool, lockdown, or I'm home a lot more. To be fair, I'm working out every day, so that's been a positive. But in terms of my side hustle, productivity has been, to be fair, I haven't done YouTube in a while. So that definitely, and that was before this situation. But now it's like, cool, I'll do more. I didn't do one video, but I've been doing more of the podcast. So that's been helpful. And Zoom has been helpful for this, because it would have been crazy to try and get anyone that's not based in London, and even when people are based in London, onto the podcast. So Zoom has been really good for that. And for us to be able to continue visually doing podcasts, because for about 5 episodes, it was nothing but audio just on Spotify. But with this, we've got video, I can interview you, or this hasn't really been an interview, we've just been discussing stuff, but that's the point of the podcast. It's just to talk about nerdy stuff and food sometimes.
Yeah, man.
And food on occasion. We hit the food today.
Once in a
We
while.
hit the food today.
The food today. Normally what happens is that we talk about the beginning and say, okay, we've got this food, this is what it is. And most of the time, Dre doesn't eat anything, so it's the first time he's had the food. So that's pretty much what happens. And was it good? Yes. Was it good?
Sounds
No.
like tacos, isn't it?
Yeah. He had tacos. He had never had tacos.
Yeah, I had tacos for the first time with Aaron.
Like 2 months ago. Well, actually, to be fair, now it's more than 2 months ago. Probably about 2-3 months ago. I'm like, how have you never had tacos?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
You know, you don't.
And,
So were you mad at
what else did I
yourself
have?
for like not?
Burritos as well?
Yeah, burrito.
You've never had a burrito either?
Yeah.
It was from Taco Bell, because we had just
That was your first taco? That's the worst taco to introduce him to.
But
Well, I don't know how it
no
is out
other-
there, but
because he had never had anything before. It's like, you know, let's start off with a brand name as opposed to a Mexican place or a Latin place that we'd never been to. I know I'm cool at Taco Bell, so let's get it. I did warn him that he may need to use the toilet after he has it, but he had it and he was down with it. It was cool. But if it's your first introduction, it could be love or hate, and he liked it. So now you go to this restaurant or that restaurant and whatever.
right. Get him one of those tacos where the meat is shredded or something like. You know what I'm saying?
There's Dre, there's this place in Victoria at Victoria Station called Mikasa. Yes, it's so good. I was up in there to her.
Good. Okay.
It's good. We'll take a train right down there. But yeah, I was there and I was like, oh, right, cool. I think she was from the Dominican Republic. And I was there, I was like, oh yeah, hi, how are you, in Spanish and everything. And she was just super friendly. Like those little restaurants, when it comes to just people who just, they're the ones you want to go to. You don't want to go to Taco Bell or Burger King. You want to go to that one place and you know the food is good.
I do have to say, if you get lit though, like if you're drunk or high, Taco Bell will hit that spot like no other.
That's where
you know
Dre
what I'm
lives
saying?
then.
For $7 too. Like you'll get it and you're like, man.
I think the equivalent for that over here for people who like drink or smoke would be getting a kebab. Or Indian food, getting a curry the next morning. What else is there? Or a pizza. Those 3, I think, are like the top 3 things that people do either while or the morning after as a cure.
We definitely we call them Habibi out there, which I found out means beloved, which is hilarious because you'll see
Habibi.
You'll see like thug niggas out here. You know what I'm saying? Like people from Top Boy, and they're calling them Habibi, and I'm like, yo, that means beloved. You call that, which is hilarious.
Crazy.
But we go to. They have delis, and we'll eat. It's called the chopped cheese, which is like a Philly cheesesteak. They chop up meat and put cheese and stuff on there on a roll. So that's a good junk food.
I want some of that.
Yeah,
that sounds good.
See, if you guys come to New York, I'm gonna hook y'all up and bring you to all the spots. Dre, we getting tacos at least 5 different places.
But
you gotta catch up.
Tacos, the real, actual, traditional.
Yeah, I need to catch up.
Right, because if you told me like you never had a taco at the beginning of this interview, I'd get off because I'd be like, I'm uncomfortable.
It's too late now. You're in.
Right. I'd be like, I gotta get off because I'm uncomfortable speaking to someone who doesn't eat tacos.
Leave the oven on? Oh, okay.
Right. I'd be like, I forgot I have this thing.
I'm out.
Arian Dre, it's been real. I gotta go.
I'll see you on IG Live 2 minutes later. Oh, okay. All right.
I'd be like, yo, they have you on this.
They didn't need food.
With some man who don't eat tacos. What kind of trap is this? A plan. These are industry plans trying to catch me.
Nah, like for real, like Dre, he doesn't really eat. And he hadn't had cream cheese before. Cream cheese.
Wait, where are you from, Dre? Like London? You're from England.
You were born in London,
or were
right?
you like born in Jamaica and then you moved? I'm just trying to get the map.
I was born here. But my parents, they don't like cream cheese. Has never been in my house ever. Like I bought it in my house after Aaron showed me.
Thing though, I've never heard of that. I think it's just your parents.
I don't know.
It could be.
I've never seen a Jamaican have a bagel. So.
But that's why he had cream cheese. You see, Dre, it's not just me. I introduced.
You eat more bake. I do love bake. In St. Kitts, we call it Johnny cakes, the fried dough.
Okay, yeah.
No,
but I do like that.
To the bagel.
No cream cheese. What do you put in your mashed potatoes?
Coconut milk.
Just milk.
Butter.
Milk.
The thing is, as far as I know, when it comes to mashed potatoes, Jamaicans aren't like Caribbean people aren't that big on it. They'll make it, but depending on where you are, will change how you make it. Like my mom, she makes mashed potatoes the American way, mixed with a bit of Caribbean. And her macaroni and cheese is done in the Pyrex dish, but the ingredients are the American type ingredients, so it's a bit sweeter. But it's done in like the cake style. So
right, the pie where you cook it, right?
Exactly.
Right. When I make my mashed potatoes, I put cream cheese in it. It is delicious.
Fire.
You gotta
Fire.
See,
Great.
and it gives it like a tang. You don't have to put as much salt.
And you get the 4 cheeses as well.
You playing, Dre? Oh, we gonna change your life.
Dre, like what I'm gonna do, right? I think I might get my mom to make some actual like food, and I'll get it over here. We can heat it up because she makes, and everyone says this, or at least a lot of people say about their mom, but my mom's food is the bomb. Like I'm
excited.
It's so good. Like we need to get that on there because even the thing is as well. He's had Player 2's food. I almost said her name out on this. Calm down. He's had Player 2's food, and he likes it. And like she makes a lot of different stuff, but she's German English, so she'll make bratwurst and stuff like that. So it's just fire. Like I try and get all around and stuff like that.
You guys should have a segment where Dre tries new food.
That's pretty much
just have his reactions.
That's the part. For the last 3 episodes we managed to film, that was pretty much the podcast. He's never had this, so
let's introduce him.
Yeah, I think we need to definitely get that segment on there. Is like he's never had this for anything, like just like a carbonara or something like that.
I can't wait to tell my friends that in England you guys are restricting ingredients. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. The best. That's the most amazing thing I've ever heard. And it just shows how like selfish we are. We would never.
Like you don't.
I would be so upset.
Fully.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
When Aaron said cream cheese, I was like, what? Okay, I'll try it.
I love it. And Dre, there's so many flavors. They got icing cream cheese. They got
icing. I think that's an American thing then. I think that's an American one.
Really? So you guys don't have we put it on red velvet cake.
No, we the ones that we have generally revolve around actual sandwich. So like chive, salmon flavored, black pepper with it and things like that. So there's a lot of different flavors, but it mainly revolves around actual sandwiches.
Like
there's the Philadelphia chocolate one that they have with their chocolate spread. But that's mainly Philadelphia. Now there's other brands like the store brands. They may have their own little something. But yeah, I tell him, and like he's been like, nah, I'm gonna just get the normal cream cheese and just live there. Like, nah, break out.
So wait, what do you put on your? You guys said you eat carrot cake. What do you put on your carrot cake? You don't put cream cheese icing on it?
Well, it's icing, but
as in like icing, like I don't know, like butter icing. I have a lot of.
Ah, I'm learning. I don't like carrot cake personally because I just feel like you're trying to trick me into eating vegetables, and I don't like that.
Nah,
Don't like
I'm
that. Give
definitely
me
not.
carrots. You know what I'm saying?
Give me carrot cake. That's Player
But
2's favorite cake as well. Carrot cake,
really,
sweet potato pie is pretty much my go-to for that, or apple pie. Yeah, that's like those two are like my go-tos for pies and stuff like that. But I think we are gonna wrap this up because we've been here for 2 hours. I'm gonna split this up into two different things.
yeah, so much fun. That's what it was. Too much fun.
The thing
It
is,
was
when
good, man.
when Dre and I are filming, like when we're actually sitting next to each other, we're like, okay, cool, we did this segment, we did this segment. Why is this an hour and a half long? Because we do it like 10 minutes each, so it doesn't seem that long, and we get there like, all right, so I'm gonna have to edit a lot of stuff out of this.
Yeah,
No,
we
I'll
love
just
the
split this up
tangent.
into two different things. But dude,
Yeah.
I had so much fun with that, Frankie, and Dre as well. I apologize you couldn't speak as much as you probably would have wanted to, but thank you for being here. As always, my partner in crime and Frankie, thank you for jumping on and actually, you know what, saying yes straight away, and actually being here and not saying, oh no, sorry, I have to, you know, when I know you're gonna be at home. So
Right.
Yeah, Frankie, you a G.
no,
Oh,
it's
thank you
very,
so
very much
much.
welcome.
Dre, stop playing and follow me on the gram.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm gonna do that right now.
Give me a double tap, you know what I'm saying?
Double tap on the last 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, all of that.
But yeah,
For sure.
anyways, dudes, that is the end. Make sure you follow us on the platform you're on. Use that to remember us on notifications, bells, whatever it is. Click that so you know we come out more or less every Saturday, but it's been a bit iffy over the past couple of months because of everything going on. I've been DS Pyro.
I've been Young Dre.
And I'm Fantastic Frankie.
Peace out, people.
Bye.
Ah.